What's going on, guys? Logan JYA here, and is indeed banlist season once again, meaning it's about time that we give it our best guess as to what we think is gonna happen. No BS, let's hop into it. Alright, my friends, huge shout out to the banlist builder. Let's hop into the first prediction. First one's not going to be a hot take, but it's something that a lot of people are talking about. The Paradise Smasher, getting this guy out of here, 100% banned. It's a floodgate monster, pseudo Shockmaster-esque effect that the rank 5s decks can easily make. And we all know how easy that can be with the K9 cards existing. Not a hot take, but moving on to one that may be considered one, Drident to 1. I'm going to be depressed if they don't legalize Drident on this next ban list, guys. I got to be honest with you. I am a huge fan of basic Zoodiac plays, Drident Pass, you know the rest. I love this card, and I really hope that after they legalized Barrage like half a year ago, I think that the next step for them, instead of giving us 2 Barrage, would be to give us 1 Drident. That's really what I want to see. It's not even that splashable. There's not many things that I foresee playing this as an engine. I think you kind of have to play it as its own deck. And as its own deck, it's not broken anymore. It's really not. Moving on from there, though, I want to talk a little bit about the Duo Drive and the Ryzeals. I think this card should just get axed. It is the advantage maker for the Ryzeals, and I think if you do this, you need not really hit anything else. You know, Detonator is cracked. Don't get me wrong. They already have some good main deck consistency hits, and we're going to do some things later on to stop them from bridging into other decks. But as far as going after the Ryzeals themselves, the Advantage Maker, the Duo Drive, Detach 2, Search 2, one of those cards being a negate / a draw, yeah, I don't think we need this guy anymore. I think he is really one of the most broken enablers that the deck has, and I think that the deck becomes a lot more fair once you get this guy out of there. So that's my opinion. Duo Drive to 0. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Speaking of stopping the bridges, I want to burn the bridges. Get the King of the Feral Imps out of here. Why? Because it bridges Ryzeal between itself and the Mitsurugis. So Mitsurugi is broken in and of itself. We're going to talk about them a little bit later on. But I want to cut off that Ryzeal hybrid by cutting out the King of the Feral Imps. It's a shame to do it. You know, it's a generic search card that's been around for such a darn long time. Back in the day when you were grabbing Kageto Kage with this guy, wasn't a big deal. But now, unfortunately, you printed a broken ritual deck. You didn't put a lot of restrictions on the type of reptiles that you can search. Yeah, I'm going to have to say it. Get that King of the Feral Imps out of here. It's going to have to die for the Mitsurugi sins. Next one's not a hot take at all, but they're going to roll off the Summon Sork. They gave us the reprint with the retrain, the new text on it. It's no longer broken. It's very fair. It's a good card, kind of, I guess. I don't know. I can't even think of any decks outside of ABC that are really going to be thinking about playing this. But, hey, if you have some ideas, I'd love to hear them about how you're going to be using Summon Sork once it gets legalized with the new effect. But long story short is, new effect, not broken anymore. Bring it on back. They'll maybe do it at 1, and then they'll put it to 3. Or maybe they'll just take the Band-Aid off completely and bring it back to 3. I'm not sure what their approach is going to be, but right now we're just putting it as a guaranteed to come back. I'm sticking it in the slot as a limited. Oh, we talked about these guys a moment ago, but the Mitsurugis, the Mitsurugi Prayers, I think this card is one of the most unfair cards that the deck has outside of their ritual monsters themselves. I'm thinking putting the Prayers to 1, making you only have to deal with it that one time, is a pretty fair way to go about it. I'm praying that they put Prayers to 1 because I believe it to be one of the most powerful support cards that the engine has. You know, you're locking and loading those blow-ups on the opponent's turns with one of their big ritual boss monsters. You're giving it consistency with the searching, and again, just having the option to opt in for the double effect. It's a little concerning. It does a little bit too much, so let's get this guy out of here. And I think that plus the Feral Imps will be a sufficient check on Mitsurugi. If I'm wrong, they can always come back and hit it harder. But I think this is very realistic hits, and I think it is a good approach for Co-Money to take. Now, this one's kind of an ass blast, and I think they deserve it. I'm saying ban White Binder. I think this is the most broken out of the Maliss Link monster. Okay, they got a lot of broken Link monsters. What am I going to say? You know, Red Ransom's crazy, the Cryptor is crazy, all for different reasons. I don't think, though, that any of them deserves to be banned more so than the White Binder. What's going on, guys? Got to give a huge shout out and thank you to xxanime.shop. Be sure to check out their link in the pinned comment and the description down below, where you can get your hands on the brand new Dry Kage line of merch. They've got some absolutely sick stuff on this shop, so be sure to check it out. You can find things like the official Dry Kage jersey,
and a heck of a lot more, so be sure to check them out and use the code DRYKAGE for 10% off. Now let's get back to it.
Not to mention the fact that the banishing from the graveyard invalidates a lot of other strategies if you're not using it to recur your Maliss monsters. So overall, it just does a lot, and I think putting this one to 0 would be a sufficient check against the Maliss. They can still do a heck of a lot even without this card, so the deck will still be playable and competitive. It just won't be as busted as it currently is. Because if the results of our recent GG for free mean anything, it means that Maliss is still kicking butt out here, and I think they should do something about it. I also think they need to clean up a mistake, that being the legalization of the Protos. Dude, I hate this card. I hated this card when Sword Soul would summon it. I still hate it when people break this guy out. In the same vein as the Paradise Smasher, I feel as though that Protos should be put back into the banned category. Now, you could always make the argument that, yes, but in the Nemesis deck, you know, this is one of their few boss monsters. They also got the Escados guy, which is another powerful lock. It's just harder to tailor it to your opponent, not as generic as hitting somebody with a Protos called Dark. Yeah, I really do think that we can get this guy out of here once again. Instead of going after the rank 4, I know I went after the rank 4 when it came to the King of the Feral Imps for bridging, but in this situation, I really do find Protos to be the problem. And I don't have as much of an issue as you going for a flag and then maybe a Colossus play by summoning the Thunder Nemesis monster. Even Escados, like I said, it's a little too tricky. It's not as generic as going for something like Protos. So I believe strongly that Protos should get the heck out of here. They should fix the mistake that they made and get this card back on the ban list. I don't like it. I don't like them. Get them out of here. I'm going to take a minute here to talk about Vanquish Soul. I am not a fan of this deck in any way. I hated it when it was a stun deck. Now it's like a powerful build-up-board deck with the K9s, and it is very strong, very concerning. Are they going to go after it right now? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But if they were to go after it right now, I think it's going to be a consistency hit, similar to what we saw them do to Ryzeals. Maybe they'll do a ton at a time. Maybe they'll pick one to go to one. And when it comes to picking one to go to one, I have it between the Holly Sue and the this guy right here, the Razen. I think either one of these guys are good candidates to go to one as a check against the Vanquish Soul. I could be wrong in this. You could also maybe put Stake Your Soul here. That summon from deck spell card, quite powerful. Any of those are good contenders to go to one, but I don't think they're going to do all of them. I think they're going to pick one of them and put it to one as a check against the deck. And I think if I'm going to put pen to paper here, I'm going to put it on the Razen. Razen being one of those most powerful normal summons that the deck has. Yeah, I think this is our guy who should be put to one. Not only is he a powerful search on someone, but he also has a sneaky little built-in removal effect that plays with the columns. Yeah, I think you're really doing a lot by putting this guy to one, and it's not going to bring down the ceiling of the deck at all whatsoever. It's still going to be tier 1. It's still going to be a powerhouse. It's just going to be a tad bit more fair, where they have to rely on only one Razen. Alright, moving on to the next one, a legalization of the Heavy Storm. That's right, Heavy Storm back to 1. We've got Raigekis, we got Harpie's Feather Duster. There's no real broken thing that you can do by blowing up your own back row in 2025, so why the heck have we not had Heavy Storm legalized yet? I don't know. Don't ask me. I think maybe now is the time. Let's bring it on back. Whenever they do something silly like this, like bringing back an old nostalgic card, it always generates hype in some way, shape, or form. I think about when they legalized Change of Heart and people's minds were blown and it has done absolutely nothing. Same thing when it comes to the Heavy Storm. I think they can bring this card back without a lot of trouble. And frankly, I'd like to see it. It's been a while since I've gotten to resolve the Heavy Storm, so come on, bring it on back into the TCG. I love to see what the side deck patterns are going to look like. Maybe it's going to be one of this, a Feather Duster, and a single Lightning Storm going with a Thrust package. All these are cool, fun ideas, and I'd like to be able to play it again. Alright, we're getting back into the Floodgate category now, talking about the Harpie's Feather Storm, and this is one thing from Mr. Bootleg Cali Effects list that I think he got absolutely right. It's an inevitability that this card needs to go, and I hate to say it, I hate to do it, as somebody who relies on this as our droll backup plan in Drytron. That's right, Feather Storm, Thrust 4 Feather Storm, Summon Fuko Pass, Suck my, you know what. Yeah, unfortunately, though, we got to get this guy out of here. I don't think that this card is healthy or good for the game. It ticks people off when it's flipped up against them. It ticks people off when they thrust into it after you hand trap them. And maybe you could say that it's a necessary evil, I guess, as a counterplay when you're getting hand trapped too much. but I would have to disagree. Any rank 4 deck can make this live. Any rank 1 deck can make this live. I think there's some link 2s that can make this live. So long story short is, let's get the Harpie's Featherstorm out of there. It's going to make a lot of people much happier. I don't know if they're going to do this one or not. You know, you could argue that water has been checked sufficiently, but I've also seen folks, I've looked at some other predictions where people are saying, no, if you hit everything else substantially, water is going to creep back on in here, and the barrier statue of the Torn is going to be your big problem here. So this one I'm not certain about. I don't know if it needs to get banned. I think this will be our second barrier statue on the ban list if they do it. But I am going to put it out there that, yes, Mermail can access this card extremely easily. It is probably their main win con nowadays. And it's going to come out as a little hypocritical as the guy who loves to summon Vanity's Ruler telling them to ban the barrier statue of the Torrent that locks out special summoning for certain decks only. Yeah, but I don't know if they're actually going to do this one. I put this one at maybe like a coin toss 50-50. If they want to hit Mermail preemptively in anticipation of doing a heavy list, then sure, I can see it happening. If they're not doing a heavy list, and it's just going to be small hits here and there, maybe they'll keep this around to keep Mermail as a real competitive option. I think this might be my only post-Justice Hunters hit, and I'm going to speak about that briefly. I don't think they're going to do much of anything to Draco Tail. Generally speaking, I think it's a pretty fair deck. It's very powerful, very strong, don't get me wrong. I don't know the right way to hit it right now, but I do, at least in concept, feel as though that it's a relatively fair deck for the modern day format. I think it's really enabled by playing it with powerful sub-engines, things like K9, that makes it truly strong, a tier 1 contender, but on its own, I think the deck is sufficiently okay. K9 will get hit someday, don't get me wrong, but what is the best deck out of the Justice Hunters ones? If you listen to Stephen J. Trifanowski, and if those ICS results are anything to say, or any indication, yeah, I think it's Yummy. I think Yummy is the undisputed most powerful deck out of the Justice Hunters trio. And I think that the way to check them without actually going after the archetype directly is hitting Obedience Schooled. So I think you either put this card to 1, maybe you ban it, maybe you put it to 1, maybe if you're feeling fruity with it, you put it to 2. But my prediction, at least for the sake of the list, is Obedience School to 1, and then perhaps a future ban on Obedience School if it becomes too much of a sacky one, which it is. It's a God card, it really is. But I think leaving the Yummies with a 1 of God card is a heck of a lot better than leaving them with this as a 3 of. The card as a 3 of is disgusting. The end board that Yummy puts up is obscene. So yeah, I think if anything out of the Justice Hunters decks getting hit directly, it's going to be Obedience School to 1 as a sort of check against Yummy. God, I just hate saying that. Why do they have to name the archetype that? It's such a goofy-ass name. Alright, moving on, though. I kind of spoiled this one, but I have Azuna here to talk about. I don't think they're going to hit K9 at all. I really don't. I don't think they're going to hit K9 yet. I think they got to make their mint off of it. I've said this in past predictions. Konami got to make their money, meaning they got to put in a big, fat reprint of these powerful new archetypes before they ever consider going after them directly. So I don't see them doing anything to Azuna, but I did want to mention it here as in the future, I think Azuna may go to 1. Not for this next list, but someday. I think this card is broken enough to see a 1-of spot on the ban list. It just makes the K9 package have to decide how it wants to play. It takes away a little bit of that turn 0 and power of the engine, where you're super set up on the opponent's turn with either a Ripper or a Nash Steel. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, so I believe that Azuna will eventually go to 1, but not on this next list. No, they got to make their mint first, and this is a situation where they're definitely going to want to reprint these archetypes before they go after them directly. I believe. I could be wrong, though. I mean, they went after Ryzeal with consistency hits and Maliss with consistency hits before reprinting them. So who knows? We'll see, but I don't think they're going to hit it yet. We got some easy ones, so let's get them out of the way. That grass looks greener to 2. I think this lines us up with the OCG if they do this, so why the heck not? I think that the 60-card pile strategies are so much fun. It really brings out creative deck building, and it really brings some cool strategies into the light. You know, shout out Lightsworn, shout out Dragon Rulers. Let's give them a little piece of candy here and bring back that grass looks greener too. I think that's a completely fair way to do it. And if it proves to be too much, then so be it. You can stick it back to 1. It's not a big deal, but if you ask me, I don't think it's going to do a darn thing. I did have the Dormouse here. I wanted to speak about this briefly, and this one again goes into a previous hit that we identified. If they're not going to ban the white binder, maybe they're gonna limit the Dormouse. This is, I think, the most powerful one-card combo enabler in the Maliss deck. I think this is the best starter that they have. And let's also not sleep on that little 600 boost that can make a big difference when it comes to going for game. So I'm not sure if they're going to do both of these things. I'm not sure if they're going to do any of these things. I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm not going to take it off like the Azuna. But yeah, please hit Maliss, guys. Please do it. Alright, next we got to talk about the Fiendsmith. So, Fiendsmith Requiem to 0. I'm actually kidding on this one. I don't think they're going to hit Fiendsmith Requiem to 0. I don't think that they're going to hit Fiendsmith at all. I think the deck is really checked by the existence of the K9 package being in so many tier 1 strategies right now. It's actually made Fiendsmith take a huge backseat. They're doing a bunch of reprints on it right now to get their money out of it. So if anything, if they were going to do anything to Fiendsmith, I see it being a small consistency hit, maybe putting the Engraver to 2. If you wanted to go really heavy-handed, you could kill the genericness of the engine and ban the Closed Moon. But I don't foresee them doing that. At most, I see maybe Engraver to do as a consistency hit. I do have a Memento hit identified here. Memento is a crazy-ass flipping deck, you know, guys. This is a powerhouse of a combo strategy. So the way I see them going after this deck, I chose the Horse here. This is that special summon from hand, and then do the blow-up, get the crazy amount of dumps. I can see them hitting this, or maybe hitting the Witch to 1 would be a very strong check on the Memento strategy, hurting it in the consistency line of things, but not doing anything to the end board or the ceiling of the deck. It's a really challenging deck to play that takes a really skilled pilot. I think that's why we don't see it topping as much, unless it's in the hands of someone really capable. But at the same time, its sheer potential is worrisome to me. So I'd like to see some sort of check against Memento. I think maybe the Horse or maybe the Witch to 1 is a fair bet. Alright, getting to the tail end here. Let's bang these guys out here. Bring Launcher back to 2. Walk this one off. Don't run it off. You don't need to put it straight to 3. It's okay. We can take our time on it. But bring back Launcher to 2, please. Good lord. It's about darn time. Infernity hasn't done nothing in a long time, so bring this card back, please. The Party Boat, the Wind-Up, Carriers, and Matey. They reprinted this in the Stampede not too long ago, probably just as support for old formats. But I think if you legalize this card, nothing bad happens. I really don't think so. There's a lot of cool ways you can play wind-ups right now with like Psychic packages or Goblin Biker packages. A lot of cool things you can do with the deck. But they really need their Carriers and Matey in order to have any semblance of a rogue competitive chance. So let's legalize it. Don't even worry about banning Hunter. I don't think anyone's going to be successfully hand-ripping. So bring back the Party Boat. I'm advocating for it. And then finally, I think, what is it? Shavara's at 2 right now, so they're going to bring this guy back to 3, and that's not really a hot take at all. But there we go. This is a pretty heavy-handed list with a lot of if, ands, or buts included. I would love to see something that resembles this coming soon when Konami decides to drop the list on us. But that's going to be it for my ban list prediction. Tell me, did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave a like, dislike if you dislike, and let me know what you think is going to happen when they drop that list on us in the near future. That's going to be it for me today. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day, and we'll see you beautiful people later. Peace.